Hello, fellow R programmers. Welcome to session 22. And today we have some general commands that we are reviewing together. These general commands, it is the second session that we are doing general commands as the topic of our R programming session because if we can finish all the points that I have in my mind to review today, for the next week, we will have a thorough example to do that is somehow to cover everything we have studied together. Okay. The first command that we are gonna check together, the first function that we are gonna check together is sample function. Sample function is very useful because of its nature that it helps us with sampling. Okay, you can see in the explanation here, it says it generates the random elements from the given data with or without replacement. I'm gonna explain it completely to you so you will understand it well. See, my friends, imagine you have a bucket, and in that bucket you have 4 balls. Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4. Okay, you randomly uh, pick balls from this bucket. Okay, see what happens. When you randomly pick balls from this bucket, for example, imagine the first pick is 2. Okay, now it's the point about with or without replacement. Because if you replace it, the second one that you take, maybe it is 2. Because when you pick a ball, you replace it. In fact, you write the number and put the ball back inside. So again, you have 4 balls in the bucket. So it is with replacement. So what happens? The first one you take is 2. The second one you take is 2. The third one you take is 1. The fourth one, for example, is 4. The fifth one is, for example, 1. It is possible because when you take 1, you replace it. You put it back again. So that's the point. I want to tell you this sample function by itself can help us a lot for simulations and design of many experiments easily. Now, this is the case. But if our sampling is without replacement, it means that when the first peak I have is, for example, 3, okay, the second peak cannot be 3 because 3 now is out of the bucket. So the next one is, for example, 2. So the third one cannot be 3 nor 2. It would be something between 4 and 1. And for example, if it is 4, and for sure the next one is 1. Another point that I want to tell you is that if your sampling is without replacement, of course, the number of your samples cannot be more than the number of items in the bucket. But if you do replacement, if the replacement is true, the number of samples could be any number. Because anything, even if you have only, for example, 2 balls, not well, now I draw another things. You have 2 items of 1 and 2 with replacement. You can have 100 samples from this thing. For example, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, and like that. So this sampling is help us with this type of things, still with something more that I'm gonna tell you. So here, when it says generate the random elements, it means the random peak generates the random elements from the given data. And here the data is 4 balls. Here the data is 2 squares, and with or without replacement. So now you should be fine with this explanation. Another thing, here it gives you the syntax. Again, like the other functions, commands in R, the name of the function is very close to what it does. So since it does sampling, the name of the function is also sample. Okay, sample, here you put the data that you want to select random elements from. So the data here is the bucket of 4 balls. The data here is the bucket of 4 squares. So we put it and we are going to do examples with this and you will understand it. Size, that is the next element or argument in the syntax, talks about the number of samples. For example, here I told you if replacement is true, you can have the size of 100 for your experiment. But here it puts 10. It means that the result would be 10 random picks. After that, you define if replacement is true or false. So you put it, and here you put replace and true. And after that, the last part that you define with your sampling is the probability. What is probability? Probability, see how many items here we have in our bucket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here it tells you about probability of these items to be picked. For example, here it says the probability of V pick 23 is 60%. The probability of getting 45 is 10%. The probability of getting 21 is 10, and also for 34 and 5 it is 10%, 10%. So of course when you run these commands, since the probability of getting 23 is 60%, and in fact it is 6 times of the other ones, in our sampling we should have more 23. So when we get the results, you see we have here 1, 23, 2, 3. So out of 10, we have 3. It should be more, but you know, it is random and you cannot specify it for sure. 21, 1, 5, 34, and you see the other ones also happening. Okay, now we are good. And remember, since it is random, my friend, and the number of sampling is small, you don't see exactly that 60%, 10%, 10%. Okay, now let's go and do it in the IDE. And again, like the previous things we have done together, try to do it yourself and get some random results before you check it with the video. First, we create the data. Let's name it D. Put it 1 and 2. After that, I go for sample, and you see, my friends, it gives all the help here I need, and it says about X, size, replace that is false or true, and probability. This R is really awesome. Okay, I put here D, and for size I put 10. So it means that I'm gonna take 10 times out of that. For the other one, that is replace. And please pay attention, my friends. While I'm doing this, it's constantly show me the guide here. So I can look at it and do that, okay? Replace. Okay, since the size is 10 and only I have 2 items to pick up, I cannot put replace false. If I put replace false, it gives me error because it doesn't make sense. You only have 2 items and you want to take 10 times out of them. without replacement. So I say replacement is true, and the last one I go with the probability, and let's for a start make probability of both of them the same. Okay, now we have this, and I run it. Okay, now see the result here. I have item 1 and 2, and I put it here D. The sample size is 10. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Replace is true, and you see as soon as it takes 1 from the 1, and again it can take 1, because when it takes 1 out of the pocket, again it returns it back over there, and probability is 50. So you see 1, 2, 3, I have 4, 1, and I have 6, 2. Now, if I change this sample size, that you see here to 100, exactly the same thing happened, but exactly the same thing happens for 100 times. And now here you see 100 elements of 1 and 2 that are taken out of the bucket. Let's do another change. And here I want to make the probability of 1 a big number so you can see the difference. I say the probability of 1 is 90%, the probability of the second one is 10%. So we should see more 1 now. And I run it, and now you can definitely see the difference. See, most of them are 1. Okay, another things that I'm going to show you here, I'm going to make I'm going to add another things to this number, that is 3. And so now I have to specify the probability of C as well. I'm going to put 10% for 3. And this is 80%. And now we are good to run it. And now we have that. And another change that I want to make, you may ask, what if I want to put some elements to take from them, B and C? And we will have a thorough example next week to use all the things together so you can see and feel the usefulness of this function better. So now I run it, and you see again the results. And another things I want now to check with you is the fact that, yeah, just a trick to doing so. See, my friends, you can put anything here and it do the sampling from that for you over there, okay? But also you can put a number here. For example, what happens if I put 3 here? By default, R consider that you wanted to sample from 1, 2, 3. Okay, so when I run it, you see the result is that. Now, if you may ask, if we don't put probability, what happens to the probability? They all will be considered the same probability. Okay, so I'm gonna put the same probability, and I put it 5. So R consider it as sampling 1, 2, 3, 4 with equal probability. So when I run it, you see this. And if I reduce the number to 10, you may see it better. It is the result. You see sampling from 1 to 5, and all of them of the same probability. And you please also try these changes on the commands on your IDE to understand it better.